and reading his Rich Dad Poor Dad stuff. And I remember thinking, man, that guy is smart, but that whole network marketing thing, he is missing the mark. Who am I, right? He's missing the mark. So I just started pursuing, what really started seeing as I was going up the ladder in corporate America, as I would get promoted after promotion after promotion. And I thought, once I'm, the big dog, it'll get better. Well, if any of you have ever been the big dog in corporate America, how many of you know it doesn't get better? It doesn't get better, right? So that's why I started reading this Robert Kiyosaki stuff. I started looking and trying to open my mind because at the height of my career, I was 29 years old. I was an area vice president for a little tiny telecommunications company, AT&T. I probably shouldn't say the name, right? Little tiny company. And on my 29th birthday, my husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He was 34 years old. We were 2.5 weeks shy of our 5th wedding anniversary. And to tell you that it felt like the world fell out from underneath me is an understatement. But honestly, that wasn't even the half of the darkest days that were going to hit us. The diagnosis was nothing compared to what was going to come. So a few years go on, and I keep working, and he gets sicker and sicker, and life is just getting harder and harder for us. And so I made a decision that we were going to pursue network marketing. Anybody pursue network marketing in this room to maybe help their families, right? All of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I think that I will help my family. So I started going after the dream of network marketing. And I left my job, I left my career, walked away from my career to pursue this dream. And really, I love what Toby and Layla say, it's like you're selling the dream but living the nightmare. And it became a 5-year nightmare. During that time, blew through our savings. In fact, somebody was asking me this morning, what would you do differently? Well, I listened to these dinosaurs who were telling me radio's the way, and I started dumping $1,600 a month into radio advertising, and I didn't know anything about advertising. I didn't know anything really about marketing. So blew through our money, blew through our savings, medical expenses just getting higher and higher and higher, and finally made a decision to leave that company, and had a privilege to start up an MLM. How many of you know starting up an MLM is a little risky? Yeah. Anybody know it's a little risky, right? A little risky. That's okay, great. I believe that with great risk comes great reward. So start up this company, everything's going great, time of my life. I was telling Dave Wood last night, time of my life, 30-day span. I left my husband for 30 days, took 22 flights, and was gone for 30 days. 22 flights in 30 days, meeting after meeting after meeting, making about $4,000 a month at the time. So ridiculous. To only turn around to find out that our CFO liked hookers and drugs and embezzled the company money, and our dream was crushed. It was unbelievable. Now we're in a massive amount of debt. I don't know what to do. My ego was so huge. At the time, I was going to Danny Johnson events, and Danny would always talk about, you gotta weigh your ego with your bank account, and I'd be like, I'm not getting a job. She'd be like, Tracy, you need to get a job. I'm like, I'm not getting a job, right? No. She'd tell me, and I'd be like, not getting a job. I'm not going back to that, no way. And so we just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. And I gotta tell you, it was rough. And as all this is happening, my husband is just getting sicker and sicker, to the point where a couple of years ago, I'm trying to think, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, he couldn't even leave the house. Here he's this young, vibrant man, couldn't leave the house, couldn't dress himself, couldn't sleep in our bed anymore, couldn't cut his own food. It sucked, man, it was dark. And the bills kept getting higher. And then one day we get a knock on the door, and I'll never tell you, I never thought I would share this from stage, but I'll never forget, I see the sheriff walking up the door, and I freaked out. My ego, I was in such protection mode that I hid. I didn't know what to do. I was like, holy crap, like, are they gonna arrest me? What's gonna happen? Like, we had all these outstanding debts. You guys, I hid under my desk, shaking for 30 minutes. Shaking and crying. It was horrible. It was one of the lowest, most humiliating moments of my life. A few weeks later, knock on the door again, and this time, there I couldn't hide. And they served us papers. Their banks are suing you. You need to show up. You need to pay your debt. And I had no idea what we were going to do. At the same exact time this was happening, my husband was scheduled for his first of 5 brain surgeries. So here we are. We got nothing. I've cashed out all of my 401ks. I've blown through all of my savings. the man of my dreams who is watching me just fall apart from stress is getting sicker and sicker because he was stressed out. I mean, how many of you know that men, and this is not meant to be sexist, but men are wired to take care of their families, right? How many of you know that? They're wired to take care of their families, and some of us women are very strong and we're wired to take care of our families. But he wanted so desperately to take care of me, and he couldn't. And it was such a horrible, horrible time in our lives. And so we were losing everything. We thought we were going to lose our home. We had no money. We had no money for food. We had found out the year before that, anybody in here have food allergies, like wheat or gluten or anything annoying like that? Anybody know how miserable that is? If you don't know what it is, it's really a drag. We had found out that my husband was allergic to gluten, but it wasn't just a gluten intolerance, it poisoned his brain. Okay, so it freaked me out. And so I had spent the last bit of our money on medical treatments. I just found it the other day. I meant to tell you about it, Lawrence, but I just found it the other day. I found a stack of credit cards, no joke, you guys, this thick of credit cards, wrapped around a piece of paper, and I had little notes with how much I had left on each one. Because I was playing Russian roulette every single day, trying to make ends meet. And so here we find out that he can't eat gluten because it poisons his brain. And I got no money for groceries. So what do we eat? Ramen noodles. College favorite, right? But what is it made of? Poison, right? Gluten, it's poison. And every day I'm like, it's 13 cents a meal. We can do this. Like, are you full? I'm full. Okay, cool. And that's what we were doing. That's what we were doing. We were eating ramen noodles every day for lunch because it was 13 cents a meal. It was really, really sucky. I don't have any other words for it. So I'm still living the dream. I'm not weighing my ego with my bank account. I got Danny Johnson in my head telling me to weigh my ego with my bank account. And I meet with my leaders from my network marketing company that's fallen apart, and I said, you know what, you guys, we gotta make a decision, we gotta make a move. I really believe that internet marketing is the way to go, but we need to get connected to a leader. We need to get connected to somebody that can teach us. And so my husband being, if you ever get a chance to meet him with me, he's awesome. He's just the coolest guy ever. He says to me, hey, you need to call that Lawrence Tam guy. And I was like, really? You know, I've been following Lawrence. I mean, I've known him on Facebook before he was anything. Yeah, I've been seeing him do stuff. He's like, no, I really think you should call that Lawrence Tam guy. And you know, my husband doesn't say much, and when he does, he's almost always right. So I made a phone call to that guy over there. To that guy. I'll never forget it, right? You called me back. You were in the parking lot, fighting off mosquitoes like a Kung Fu Asian, right? And he's like, talking to me on the phone. And we have this discussion, and are we gonna move our team over? So we did, we moved our team over. And I have some advice for you guys. You want some advice? Yeah. You want some advice on how to get the attention of people like Lawrence Tam? Really? Really? Yes. Serve them. Seriously, serve them. I joined Lawrence, and what did I do, Lawrence? I made you some money. I made him some money. If y'all were on the hangout a couple weeks, or last week, and he was talking about getting to events and getting leaders, he talked about putting someone on an Amtrak. Anybody remember that story? He talked about putting someone on a train to get them to an event? That was me. He put me on a train, and it changed everything for both of us because he did that, right? It changed everything because he did that. So I start teaming up with Lawrence Tam, and I start being a sponge, everything I possibly can. And yeah, I'm still resisting this whole internet marketing thing, which made no sense whatsoever. I'm an offline person, that's what I know. Well guys, I gotta tell you, about a year ago, some things happened, and Lawrence and I both had to make a decision, and we put it all into Empower Network. And thank God we put it all into Empower Network. Thank God we put it all into Empower Network, man. I'll tell you what.